chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes, episode 191. Wow, that's a lot of episodes. A lot of seasons, too. Without further ado, I am your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. mikeconley, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Volt, Shield. What's going on there, Shield?
Well, first things first, obviously, nice hat. And I got to throw out as well, because it is the 1st of May. A wise group of men once said, every little thing I do never seems enough for you. You don't want to lose it again, but I'm not like them. Baby, when you finally get to love somebody, guess what? It's going to be May. Happy May Day, everybody. Let's go.
We're feeling very good, and yes, it is going to be May, as Justin Timberlake said, or I guess technically NSYNC. But you can, potato.
It works.
It works. We will roll with that. Voldy, tonight we've got a stacked lineup of exciting times here at MinneZona Sports Live. Not only MinneZona Sports Live, but Minnesota sports in general. So claps out to all the hope that is coming through right now for our teams, our Power Four, as we'd say. But let's not forget that the Wolves are coming off. What was it, Voldy? I should have brought a broom with me, but
I should have too. Yeah,
darn it. But it's a sweep of the Suns, baby. Let's go Wolves. Let's go Wolves. We start off with the show. We got to talk about that series against the Suns. There's a lot to dissect. Finchie is coming off an injury, which is weird for your own head coach to be. We will be talking about that as well. And then we will be doing a little preview of Denver versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, who they take on in the next round of the NBA playoffs. And after that, the NFL draft, we have a new franchise quarterback in JJ McCarthy. Welcome to Minnesota. And not only JJ McCarthy, but welcome to Minnesota as well, Dallasturner, baby. Yes, claps out. First round pick's fantastic. They didn't have a pick till the 4th round. We'll quick chat about some of the guys that they got in the later rounds, especially a kicker. So that's going to be fun to talk about. We'll talk about draft. No special segment tonight because, hey, we got a lot of hot takes that we got to get through. So we are doing that. ARA tonight, a lot of NFL, a lot of MLB and NBA talk. We got Zachwilson heading to Denver. And then Tom Brady coaching? Maybe? Yes? Maybe? Uniform updates for the NFL, MLB uniform changes coming. They better. LeBron Watch 2024. It might be happening again. So keep in tune with that. But, and of course, Shield shoutouts as always. There's some great shoutouts tonight. Jam-packed show. So, Voldy, I say we get it going with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Yes, sir.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is time for some Tater Tot Hot Take, and someone already texted me, hey, guys, nice hats. I know, And they are $20, $5 shipping. If you would like one of these bad boys for the summer, make sure you talk to me, talk to Voldy, Curve Doctor, the whole deal. We can hook you up with these badass camo hats. Not only the camo hats, but we also have the America hats as well. So, America. Those Timberwolves, like we said, they sweep. I quote, sweep the Phoenix Suns. Who would have thought? Not me, not Voldy, but hey, they swept them. We thought they would win the series, but we didn't think they'd sweep them at all. Anthony Edwards, my gosh, I just have to play that applause, and Voldy, you saying dog is perfect because that's what Ant did. He pretty much dominated in the second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, getting it done, especially in the game to kick them out of the playoffs. You just beat Kevin Durant, Booker, Beal.
Yep.
Wow. That's all I got to say with that. So, the thing about this series is something to where the Wolves really took it to them. And they did it at home. They did it at their place. And it's like, well, the Suns weren't that good. No. When you have a big three like that, you're getting that job done, son. So we got that going for us. The Wolves move on. Voldy, Zoners, I asked this of you as well. What are your thoughts on this this whole series that pretty much happened? And it was quick. I mean, bang, done.
Quick, yeah.
Wolves got it done and capitalized. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on this series, and what do you expect here coming up?
I mean, just talking about the series that was against the Suns, I mean, we were concerned about how Anthony Edwards was going to have to, obviously, be a guy. He was going to have to be the guy in this series. He did not shy away at any point and just kept on raining buckets left and right, and obviously doing it on both ends of the floor. But obviously you look at the side that is the offensive side too, but a real complete effort too when you throw in guys like McLaughlin, and then you got obviously Sixth Man of the Year Naz Reid in the mix. But there was a lot more equal play when you talk about the overall production of the whole team, with the outlier, of course, being Anthony Edwards. But that's what you want out of your star, is the guy to kind of carry the weight. But McLaughlin did have obviously his moments as well, where he ended up being a main contributor, at least in those middle games as well. Game 2, Game 3, I think is where he shined a lot more. But then to be able to close it out too, of course, first sweep by a Minnesota pro sports team. I think, what did they say, ever? I think
it's ever.
Ever. I mean,
you can't with the Vikings, obviously, but
you can't do it with the Vikings. I mean, you can't do it you can do it in any other sport, but you can't do it. I mean, the first time that a Minnesota team has been swept, I mean that's happened many times before, unfortunately. But to actually sweep an opponent, and especially a caliber team too. And a lot of people have been talking about how like the super team is now a dying fad when you have obviously like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, those three guys right there, how the super team is kind of dead, as opposed to you get one really good guy on your team, you surround them with a couple of, starters on other teams, but, kind of mid-level guys too, and it works. I mean, we've seen it over the last few years. A lot more homegrown playing teams have really flourished. The Nuggets last year. I mean, you look at how the Celtics have played the last handful of years too, and we're seeing it right now. Homegrown teams. You look at the starting five minus Rudy Gobert, homegrown talent. Mike Conley was not a homegrown guy, but McLaughlin. You throw Naz Reid, obviously, and Cat as well. They're all Minnesota players and drafted by the Timberwolves as well. Right. That's a great thing. Now, looking at the series coming up, you get the Nuggets again, same thing that happened last year, a little bit of a different turnaround, especially you get Joker second round. I mean, there's a lot of things to take a look into as well, but compare this series last year to this year, completely different Timberwolves team, and I think they will certainly give the Nuggets a real good go at it for sure.
couple things that I learned from this series. One, I don't think I've ever seen a Timberwolves team that has worked solely as, pardon the pun, as a team, that well. Mm-hmm. If you saw some of their defensive rotations, there was a time in Game 4, and I had to go to bed after the third quarter because, boys got to make money. But they had a sequence of guys getting as quickly to the ball as possible. The Suns were making some pretty good passes and things like that. You saw Jaden McDaniels get right to the guy, contest everything, and they caused a 24-second violation. So this team plays defense. They can score at will. And the thing is, I believe it was Game 3. They went up. They had not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 guys in double figures. Voldy.
Yeah.
If nice hat switch. I like that. That was really
Thanks.
That was sneaky.
This is a 1 of 1 right here. And
this is, and it is fantastic. I love that hat.
All right.
And I would say with how many points that they're able to put up, how many times that they could rely on each other, not just Ant. And the thing is like Ant, everyone's saying, "Oh, Ant, he's a superstar." He is. But the thing is, we've already known this, and the national media likes to be like, "Oh man, he's completely arrived," and it's like, guys, we've known this for a while, and now people are taking notice and everything like that this season and whatnot. So whatever, but this team, I'm telling you, it is working as a team. You have the contribution that you needed desperately needed from one Karl Anthony Towns. And I give claps out to him right now because he had 28 points in Game 4. And he went out, he was making shots, he was driving the lane. There was still some, obviously there's still some complaining to the refs and, things like that. And, but the one thing I feel like they will have to work on in the series coming up, and we'll talk about it more in a second, but the petty fouls. It hurts not only Cat because we need Cat. And Ant even said it after they swept the Suns is like, dude, you got to stop effing fouling. Like he was, if you saw that, it is hilarious. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. But, I just like the way that they're able to rely on one another. Mike Conley is a true professional, and he completely has, energized his team from being the point guard, working with Gobert. And it's just like Rudy Gobert has, just as leaps and bounds better than what he was, last year. And that's something to make sure of. He's going to win Defensive Player of the Year, for goodness sake. The guy is fantastic. And, people are, saying like, oh, you won't survive first Joker. Well, not a lot of people can, but here's the thing. When you have the top defense in the league, you got to be able to do something, and I think they will. They'll figure out a way, and especially when you have Cat down there, too. Cat's he's not a shutdown defender, but, it's not like he's going to, keel over and be like, oh, yeah, I'll just let Joker go right by me. So, they've definitely got some players there that, that they'll have to match up with, and I think they're doing a good job of, finding that. So another guy that I thought was really good too, Jaden McDaniels, 18 points. He's one of the best defenders, if not the best defenders at his position right now. I just think that if they're able to do what they've done, and don't forget Nickeil Alexander-Walker now. The guy was money from deep and being able to guard. But he got some foul trouble too, but we'll get into that. The Suns, when we talk about Ant, Voldy, and you probably saw this too. I don't know if I want to say it's a passing of the torch, but it's damn near close. Ant talking smack to KD after he hit one of those shots, and just kind of letting him know, like, you're old, and I'm taking, this is my ship now, and all that stuff from Captain Phillips. I assume people know what I'm talking about. But I mean, just how he's able to do that, and how he was great in those fourth quarters, second halves, and stuff like that. Talking smack to KD. What are your thoughts on the series coming up with the Nuggets, with Ant? They're obviously they're going to do some double teams. They're going to try and get them frazzled, but I just don't see how they can. The guy's on fire. People are saying Jordan, Kobe, the whole deal. He just wants to kill everything, is what he said, quoted saying. So, if you're Ant, I mean, you're just going to keep doing what you're doing, I'd assume. Don't you think so too, Voldy?
I think so, especially you want to have that confidence in your player, especially, a successful opening series, but now you're going up against the defending NBA champs.
Yes.
Sure, there are a couple of things different from last year to this year with, the Nuggets, but overall that same kind of core nucleus that they had that led them all the way through the, Western Conference into the finals as well. That's still pretty well intact there. It's going to be obviously a much more, I feel like this is going to be a lot more of a physical matchup because they're a team that's, has size and the ability to kind of create some space inside more too. It's going to come down to obviously being able to outwork that physicality and, just Jokic as well, just hard to stop anyway, whether he drives, whether he shoots, just moving the basketball overall. He is an anomaly within itself. I mean, he's built like a refrigerator, but can run like obviously run the floor like a cheetah. It boggles my mind still to this day how he can do all of that, given the fact that he's built like the Iron Giant. I mean, it's crazy to see, but I mean, this is gonna be a hard fought contest, a hard fought series for sure. But if you have Ant at the level that he's been playing at, they're going to make it a series. I think he's still going to get his points, but I feel like there is going to be, I wouldn't say too much of a drop off, but I see a lot more spreading of the wealth, if you will, when it comes to the points department in this series.
So I'm glad you brought that up because, again, it comes back to those role players. I mean, role players, but also you have the second guy with Cat. And Cat is so important to all of this. And
definitely.
It comes down to him being able to hit those shots from the outside. Because he's the best big man shooter, like, in the NBA. Three-point shooter. Sorry.
No, for sure.
But he's able to, do things like that, drive to the basket, get fouled. He can hit free throws he doesn't miss a lot of free throws. And Mike Conley, especially, coming in the clutch at times when they need it, when they need a three, when they need, some points and whatnot. So, those guys, I believe, are going to step up. But the one thing that bothered me about this series, Voldy, and I think you'd agree with it, just the bitching and the moaning from Booker. Oh, my God. The guy
in your
flops.
Head, bro. I'm in your head.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, my God. Like, dude, just relax. And the thing is that you said, and he even said in a video when they got KD and everything, in all honesty, I don't know how they're going to guard us, anyone. But oh, he just showed you how, buddy. That's just kind of how it is. And, he's talking smack to McDaniels, and McDaniels was owning him the whole series. Yeah. I mean, defensively. And after the series, and I think Ant obviously had some words with Booker as well. He said some things. Mm-hmm. But McDaniels goes and points up at the scoreboard after they win or whatever, trying to get his attention. And some Suns player got in the middle of McDaniels.
Love it.
And McDaniels he says, "You're a bitch," and everything like that. Oh, it's just the funniest
That's
thing.
the Kardashian effect for you, fellas.
Yes, that's true. Because I was thinking the same thing. I was like, that's the Kardashian effect. And
see, as you can see behind me, the more you f around, the more you're gonna find out.
Damn right. So that's what happened. The Wolves went and kicked their butts, but that's not the thing I was gearing towards. But it's fun to make fun of a guy who obviously just got his ass kicked against the lowly Timberwolves. But one other thing that happened, Mike Conley bumping into and injuring and not his fault, obviously, because Booker kind of shoved him somewhat, or something like that. Finchie, I mean, it only happens to us, right? I mean, it's just that's just how it is, Minnesota sports. So Finchie tore his patellar tendon on Sunday, and obviously he was in pain, a lot of pain from what we saw, and it sucks because we don't know if he's going to be able to coach from the sideline on Saturday, which when they'll play the Nuggets and everything like that. So my question to you, Voldy, and he got surgery today. They don't know what they're going to do at this point. But, Voldy, you have Mike Conley, who I think is a good, a guy that has filled in for Finchie when he was sick, I think, against Cleveland or something.
I will say, too, of Mike Conley, man, he is a human soundbite machine. I don't know if you've heard any of his interviews. I mean, they are fantastic. If this guy wasn't a basketball coach, he'd be a good old boy coaching high school football in Alabama with all those things that he's got. He is fantastic for sure.
I love it. So with Finchie, probably I would say he's probably going to be in a brace, or I don't know what they'll do with him. And I mean, I assume he can't move around at all, or if he's on a scooter, I have no idea. I mean, at this point, we're just kind of picking at straws here of like what's going to happen, right? So, Voldy, my question to you is: do you think this is going to affect them in the series? I mean, at this point, do you think this is just motivation for them to, beat Denver? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, you would feel like even without the coach on the sidelines. And you have the coaching staff there. They're still going to go out and obviously play the same system. They know how to make the adjustments that they need to and be able to go from that point. But having him on the sideline too, even if he's on a scooter or on crutches, he's got the stool or whatever to prop himself up against. That's going to be even added more motivation as well. It's like, hey, this guy literally got his leg blown out and had surgery, and he's here in Denver. Hey, we got to go out here and get this guy a couple of wins so we can keep playing and, keep on with the season too. I feel like that'll be motivation, but at the same time, it's just unfortunate timing. And I feel that, at the end of the day, that they'll be able to play well regardless, even if he is or isn't on the sideline. So
from what I understand from our article here, apparently this is kind of what they're somewhat expecting. If he's not able to, go from the bench, what's going to happen is he'll likely communicate from the bench. Communicate to the bench from the locker room is kind of how they're thinking here.
He'll be there. Yeah, they're planning.
Right. It's not like
they're planning
he's
for him
there,
to be there for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and obviously,
tell me that you can't get him a chair on the sideline or something, or on the benches or the seats right courtside or whatever. He can't get him a spot there. I guess not.
Well, the thing is I think what they're worried about, and this is from what I understand, what they're worried about is if someone bumps into him again or something like. But I mean, they're going to have that thing wrapped up like a mofo.
Well, I mean, you got to have your get back coach, like in football. You got to have your get back coach.
That's true. Yeah, and that's kind of what people were kind of alluding to. Yeah, you're exactly right. So with that happening with Finchie, I think this is just motivation, and they're already motivated. I mean, don't get me wrong, they want to take on the champs, and they're in they're in the same conference, they're in the same division, everything like that. I think, it's going to come down to, the matchups and also the health of the Nuggets, because Jamal Murray, he's dealing with the calf injury now. So there's a lot to be expected with that. If he's going to play, not going to play, do we know? Not sure. So, I think that's advantage Wolves for one, but if he's good enough to go, then obviously, I think that's pretty even. But a lot of people are saying 7 games, that whole deal. We talked about it a little bit here, Voldy, with, how do you contain Jokic? How do you contain Murray? You have, Aaron Gordon on the team, who's a big body guy that probably going to match up with Cat, things like that, the matchups and whatnot. But, I really am liking this Wolves team. And not to throw too much shade towards the Nuggets here, but they didn't play all that well against the Lakers.
No.
They got it done. Don't get me wrong, they got it done, but they struggled to, they lost that game. They're up 3-0 and they lost. It's like, really? This team's not even in your league right now, and you can't close it out. So, there's some advantage there, but to contain this team, I just think, you just got to limit Joker and Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. is another guy to keep in mind too. And so this is these teams are different from the last time they faced last year. So I'll ask this of the zoners, and let's just get with our predictions right away here, because since the game is Saturday, we probably won't have time to get it to you guys before then. So Voldy, who do you have in this series? Do you have the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7, 6, 5, 4, or do you have the Nuggets 4, 5, 6, 7? What do you got?
Looking at the series too, and we talked about it too, especially with how the Nuggets seem to have some struggles, we'll say, when it came to closing out against the Lakers as well. You talk about, the fact that it was the Lakers who had to play in the play-in, to get to that point, and even the fact that even LeBron was even at 100%, and team is just literally falling apart right in front of them.
Yep.
And the fact that they even had their moments when they struggled kind of shows a little bit that, even Jokic, not 100% on his game in that series, certainly did leave the door open to a lot of possibilities. And I feel like the way that the Timberwolves really kind of came in and steamrolled the competition when it came to the Suns and really setting the tone from there, I have no problem in saying the Timberwolves will win the series, and I think it will be in 6 games.
So we made our predictions for the first series, you and I, Voldy. You said Wolves in 6 previous, and then I said Wolves in 7. Munson, I think, said Wolves in 5.
I think he did
as well.
He did. He had a lot more confidence than we did.
Yeah. I give him credit. But they split the season series, so obviously 2-2 and whatnot. So this is going to be one of the most exciting matchups coming up here.
Definitely.
Jokic in those games, you want to take a guess at how many points he averaged in those games?
17 points.
Higher.
28. 35. 62. 97.
I'll give it to you. 33.3. So that's a lot. And then you have Ant.
He's going to get his points.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you bring that number down to let's go 25. Let's just throw that out there.
Right.
If you bring him down to 25, be able to contain him, I think you're in good shape. Now, don't forget about Murray, don't forget about Porter Jr. and Gordon there too. So they got guys, and they got a good bench. Brown is injured, from what I understand, who had a great playoffs last year.
Did.
So
he did.
We got to keep that in mind. So that's something to watch. But with how the Wolves played in this previous series and how much depth, and right now, you can say absurd statement. I don't give a crap either way.
Yep.
But right now, if you look at these teams, the depth that the Wolves have is much better than what the Nuggets have. Did you say absurd?
It's absurd. How much?
Just
how much more depth?
Right.
How much more depth we have? Yeah.
Right, and that's the thing. It's like you bring in Nickeil Alexander. Can't even believe that we haven't. Yeah, and then Naz Reid. Naz Reid.
Yeah.
Naz Reid has done great against the Nuggets, and every time that they face. So, Naz Reid, I think, is going to be good to go and being able to get it done.
We have 3 legit starters on our bench.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's
crazy.
6th man of the year with Naz Reid, obviously.
Exactly.
So, and that just adds another able body, like if somebody gets involved, like Gobert or, Cat or anything like that. So, you have those guys you can rely on. You have, Monty Morris, who's just been good off the bench for Conley, giving him breaks, McLaughlin, and all that. Jaden McDaniels. There's depth on this team that is desperately needed. They're healthy. There's no one that you're really concerned about if they're hurt or things like that. So here's what I'm going to say. The Nuggets are a force to be reckoned with. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I think they're going to play a lot better than how they played against the Lakers. I think that's a given. But this is going to be just a brawl. I feel like this is going to be a brawl. Not saying like actual fighting and things like that. They're probably pushing and shoving.
It's going to be
whatever.
physical. It's going to be a very physical
but
series.
This is what I think. And zoners, feel free to chime in what you think how the Wolves are going to do too in the chat. Voldy, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7 games. So I'm feeling good about it because it's going to come down to that. I feel like the Wolves are going to kind of have their backs against the wall. I feel like the Nuggets are going to have a 3-2 lead going into Game 6. I think that the Wolves and Ants going to take over in Game 6, and then Game 7, it's almost shades of 2004, baby, against the Kings when KG jumped on that table and was waving that towel and everything like that. Yes, I'm feeling Wolves in 7. So from our predictions from last week, last time, we're bringing them to this week. So Wolves in 7 for me, Wolves in 6 for Voldy. I hope it's Wolves in 6. That'd be sick, nasty, awesome.
We'll put Munson down for Wolves in 5 again. So
let's do that because I'm sure he'd appreciate that, obviously. So, but I'm sorry. Let me flip flop because since the Nuggets are the 2 seed, we would be playing at Target Center Game 6, and then they win in Denver for Game 7. I feel like Ant's gonna really show up there. So, go Wolves! We can't wait for Saturday. Obviously. This is pretty much the talk of the town. But another thing that's the talk of the town is the Minnesota Vikings have completed the 2024 NFL draft. They come away with jjmccarthy from the Michigan Wolverines, national champion Wolverines. So claps out to jjmccarthy becoming a Minnesota Viking. And shout out to one Dallasturner, and I apologize to Dallasturner. We didn't even mention him on the draft special because
we didn't think he'd be there.
Yeah, we didn't think he'd be there, and all of a sudden, now he's there. Kwesi moves up from 23 to 17 and gets him. So I think it's a great draft.
Absolutely.
So let's just dive into these 2 real quick. And obviously the big one and the people that the A topic is jjmccarthy, right? And we made our predictions, and Voldy, you said Drake May, I said Drake May, Mikey said jjmccarthy, so he got that right as well. Right. But plan A didn't work, but plan B I think went very, very well, in my opinion. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts on the Vikings drafting J.J. McCarthy, Dallasturner? Go ahead.
I mean, last week, obviously, we were talking about, of course, our bold predictions in an ideal world. Like, from the initial go on of talking about quarterbacks in the first round, I was always all in on J.J. McCarthy. I've spoken to multiple of people and said J.J. McCarthy is the guy to go to. And I will I will pull up witness records and statements and ask them point blank, who did I say? I was always on J.J. McCarthy from the very get-go because I felt like he was the most possible get for the Vikings and kind of moving up there to at least moving up a couple of spots to get to him ahead of Denver because they're a little bit antsy and trying to get their quarterback into there with Sean Payton and everything too. It worked out excellent. I mean, he's definitely obviously a winner when it comes to with playing under that system in Michigan too. A little hard nose, obviously conduct an offense appropriately, and it worked out great for them. Now he's got some more added weapons to work with this go around when he comes to Minnesota and getting him into the system and a quarterback friendly coach and Kevin O'Connell as well. Wes Phillips offense in there at the same time. Getting him acclimated and establishing that run game is going to be another thing, and building the O line around him too. I think it's definitely going to be a very welcome sight to hopefully building on for many years with McCarthy.
Well, first of all, I feel like them, they were definitely still having talks with the New England Patriots about trying to move up to get Drake May. I mean, you try to get your guy. Obviously, you brought in McCown, and obviously there's the connection. There's everything along those lines with McCown, but you factor in that, well, if the Patriots aren't budging, and I feel like Kwesi knew that, and his staff knew that kind of from, I don't know, maybe the combine or something like that. Who knows? So once that didn't work, and they offered the first round picks, and then like a pick swap with each other, and then adding in, trying to sweeten the deal, draft day, and they were like, nope, we're going with May. So what's your plan B? Well, they didn't trade with the Cardinals. They didn't trade with the Chargers, which I thought would be a likely spot that they would to get JJ. But the one thing that none of us at all were expecting was the 8th pick when Adam Schefter, Voldy, Adam Schefter said on ESPN that the Falcons are, thinking of taking a quarterback. And I'm like, oh, no. No. And I'm thinking they're going to take McCarthy. They're going to take McCarthy. I thought they were going to take McCarthy at that point. And so I was like, oh, it might be. I thought it was going to. Then I thought, well, wait. Let's think about this for a second. Why would they bring in J.J. McCarthy, to Atlanta? I don't think that would make sense. And then I thought Michael Penix. So I was like, oh, please, Michael Penix.
They do love left-handed quarterbacks down in Atlanta.
There you go. Michael Penix goes to the Atlanta Falcons. So the Vikings are sitting pretty. Now, the only thing that they have to worry about, and like we talked about, is Denver jumping them or the Raiders jumping them. And I think that they were trying to get up there just to make sure they got their guy. The Bears weren't going to trade with us at 9. No freaking way they were going to trade with us because in division, rival, all that. And then you have the Jets who are right in front of you. Now, AFC team, they could easily trade with, trade with the Raiders or the Broncos and everything like that. So Kwesi is like, no, we're just going to move up. We'll give you a couple picks and go from there. So they go do that, draft McCarthy. I was pretty hyped. That they got him because that was my plan B, and I said it on the draft special as well. Now, the one thing that people are kind of like, oh, you don't know. He had a really good team around him, and he was able to blah, blah, blah. Look, the guy's only 21. You see that potential. You see it in his highlights. You see it in his throws. This guy's got something with the right development, and he does not have to be forced into this. And he even said himself, all the quarterbacks that he was talking to at the combine, wherever, they wanted to come here. They wanted to come to Minnesota because it's well set up. You have JJ, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. There are a plethora of weapons here offensively, and you have a great old line with, edge. I should say, our tackles. Interior still needs some work. Dalton Reisner still isn't signed, but still. With that being said, this is the perfect time for them to have not only Sam Darnold be that bridge quarterback, and who knows, he might do well with those weapons that we have. And JJ McCarthy is only 21 years old. He's gonna have, I think he's gonna, do well with us. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, they're gonna, if Darnold doesn't do well, they're gonna have to put him in. Yeah, they might, but at the same time, you are in an offense where KOC has your back, Wes Phillips, McCown. This is a good setup. This is a good pick. Yeah. I don't give a rat's ass what anybody says. I know Mel Kiper put us at a C+, like, oh, you gave up all these picks and things like that. Do you guys realize that the Vikings are going to be getting compensatory picks very soon? And also, Atlanta might be gifting us some of their picks as well. So I think they're missing the whole deal on that. So I think,
or they just might be gifting us Michael Penix. Who knows? I don't know.
or Kirk Cousins. Bring Kirk.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can.
And they still have to pay their salaries. It's fine.
Yeah, Kirk O'Chains. And obviously they didn't talk to Kirk about them drafting Penix and everything like that. So. Is there friction happening there? I don't know. We'll see. So McCarthy's here. I think he's going to be great for us. I just think it's we just gotta see how it all pans out. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a terrible pick, things like. Well, let's just see how it goes. Don't call him a bust when he isn't haven't taken the field, for goodness sake. So. From one guy to another, Dallasturner for the Minnesota Vikings now, edge rusher, did play against J.J. McCarthy in the college football playoff. I think when they had the draft and when they saw he kept falling, I think Flores went to Kwesi and said, get him. Please, we can use this guy. So what are your thoughts on them getting Dallasturner, moving up to get Dallasturner?
Yeah, moving up, especially knowing the fact that they needed to bolster that defensive line. We talked about it, of course, last week with adding depth. And, of course, you lose Daniil Hunter, who was obviously a big difference maker in his time in Minnesota. And we need that second, I wouldn't say second coming, but we need a playmaker coming off the edge, and that's what Dallasturner is going to hopefully bring here when it comes to obviously getting the edge and being able to capitalize on that. Obviously, coming out of a big-time program like Alabama is a plus, and besides the fact that he played there, he was a playmaker, and he is definitely a guy that can definitely change a lot of things. Getting him in a Brian Flores defense to start his career is probably the biggest thing that's going to be a benefit for him, no matter how his career pans out, whether it's completely in Minnesota or down the road he does really well for us, but is looking for greener pastures. For the time being, he's going to be in a B-flow defense, whether it be coming, standing up as a rush guy or with a hand in the ground and trying to beat a tackle. I think moving up in that case was probably the best situation, because you don't go up and go after a guy like that coming from 23 up to 17. You'd probably be hurting yourself a lot more if you don't go and get a guy like him.
So, this was a big get. They give up, a couple picks and whatnot, and I won't get back into how it benefited all these other teams. It's like it benefited us more. Who gives a rat's behind either way? So, I thought Kwesi cooked. I honestly thought Kwesi cooked here this draft. These two guys I think are going to develop into stars here in Minnesota. And,
I think so.
Listening to JJ McCarthy in some of his press conferences, everything, I mean, that's everything you want, is a leader and a guy that's doing anything to win. And he's mobile. He's got a pretty good arm. A lot of people are questioning, does he have the arm to get it there? He'll get it done. I mean, this kid is a gamer now. So I really like how they approach that. Some of the guys that they got, outside of the top, obviously the first round, Kyrie Jackson from Oregon, he's 6'4", and he's one of the fastest corners in this draft. I think he is going to, make a pretty good impact. And, again, it's just like, you can't have enough corners, right? And so, you add him to this cornerback
big corners
group.
too.
And
we need big corners.
Yeah,
big
he's 6'4". So I mean, this is really, really, it's pretty damn good. So, so they select the 7 players, and obviously, he's gonna make an impact. Then you got the kicker that they got, and again, a Bama guy too. So, Will Reichert, I think Reichert or something like that. He had the most points in the NCAA or something, like with 500 or something like that. And
513 career points.
Bang! I love it.
Which I still don't understand how he can have that much when he's kicking 3 in single points. Like, what?
It's
is
worth
it
a shot.
Cumulative? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, does he get 7 points if it's a PAT and just I don't
like
get
from 50,
how he can have.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't understand how that works if he's just kicking extra points and field goals. I don't understand it. But that's a different story altogether.
Right. So then they went and got linemen, and Kerf Doctor is happy about that. Walter Rouse from Oklahoma, and then the guy from Wake Forest, Michael Juergens, and they went and got a D tackle from Texas A&M Commerce. Didn't even know that was a school. Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Me too, baby.
So hey, let's go. So yeah, they add some depth, and we'll see how it pans out. I mean, these guys, we're kind of taking a shot in the dark, but out of those guys, Voldy, who do you think that, at this point, we'll just throw it out there. Who do you think could make an impact right away from those guys that they drafted late?
I mean, you look at how you can make an impact, and one thing that we really stressed on too was building around that offensive line, and at least bolstering that a little bit more and adding a few more pieces. I know that we're much more depth than in years past, because that's one thing the Vikings have kind of struggled with, is just sustaining a full healthy offensive line in years to come too. And I feel like Juergens could be the guy to really solidify that spot, because it's been right in the middle where we've seen a lot of trouble as of late, whether it be at center, whether it be one of the guard positions. We've been shuffling guys in and out like crazy. Obviously on the tackles too has been a lot more troublesome, but I feel like with Juergens, it could certainly be a good spot for him, where he's been at a center and guard position. And then my other guy would definitely be Levi Drake Rodriguez, on the D line as well, because we know that we need D tackles, and we need to get some experience and at least build a little bit more on the youth movement, because we've relied way too much on free agents and aging out guys to kind of hold us over for a number of years. Hasn't really worked out all that well, so we need to start getting these young guys in and start working them in fast.
I agree. And I guess kind of my guy, I kind of like the Rouse guy from Oklahoma. I'm hoping, I think it's more the depth thing. I don't know if he's going to, go in with, left or right tackle, or something happens, or maybe they put him in at guard. I don't know. I mean, it's something that I think is going to help. And he replaces Ali Udo. So, and then we still have Quessenberry. So I think that's obviously someone we can rely on as well. So,
am I the only one that wants to re-sign Dalton Reisner just for his wife's social media content? Am I the only person that...
I haven't seen any of her content, so I wouldn't know.
It's worth a follow or two.
Okay, it's worth a...
Nothing salacious. Nothing. It's all completely
I figured that.
It's all, it's all good.
I've seen there was a Vikings video that they had of him and his face. So this isn't. Don't. Yeah,
for the
don't
kids.
It's for the kids now. Okay, it's for the kids. So overall, quick reaction, Voldy. If you were to give a grade right now, what would you give the Vikings grade?
I mean, the whole overall draft, I would definitely give it a solid B to B plus for sure. The only takeaway would have been if we would have gotten Caleb Williams or Drake May instead of JJ McCarthy, but I'll give it a solid B plus for sure.
Dang it, you took mine. I give it a B plus. It would have been the reason why is, well, one, Plan A didn't work. And that's fine because you would have been giving up the farm for Drake May, and you better damn sure hope that he is that guy. I give that a B plus, and especially it could have been a B minus if it was just McCarthy and you had to give up that 23. But the fact that they didn't have to give away that 23 is a huge gift for these Minnesota Vikings. So B plus from me as well. All right, that is going to do it for a long Tater Tot Hot Take. But, hey, this is a Minnesota show. We got to get through our Minnesota sports. And the Vikings, the future's bright. The Wolves, obviously, the future's right now. And the future right now is absurd or approved. And we've got a lot of good absurd or approves tonight, and especially Court Hans. I'm sorry. Zach Wilson is going to Denver. And actually, shout out to Court. It is his birthday today, so happy birthday to Court Hansen, a.k.a. Zach Wilson. Just be careful out there. That's all I got to say. We'll leave it at that. TFB, Tom Brady is coaching, maybe? We'll talk about that. NFL uniform updates. MLB uniforms suck. LeBron Watch 2024. So that is what we got on the docket for ARA. So let's get it going, Voldy. What's up? Absurd or approved?
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, in a couple of moves that took place before the NFL draft, there is a fully stocked quarterback room in the Mile High City. The Denver Broncos did a trade for Zach Wilson, the backup quarterback for the New York Jets, who was the number 2 overall pick in 2021. Well, he's now changing his address to the Mile High City, as the move did take place before the draft. So the Jets did get a draft pick, a 6th-round selection, and the Broncos did also get a 7th-round pick as well to go along with Wilson at the same time. Now, money's going to be split even on a $5.5 million contract ahead of the season for Zach Wilson, who will now get another chance to prove his worth somewhere a little bit closer to home, I will say, from his time in BYU. But it's been a bumpy road, to say the least. There were some glimpses of Zach Wilson kind of taking a few steps forward this past season for the injured Aaron Rodgers in New York with the Jets, but still not what the Jets hoped for when they drafted him 3 seasons ago in 2021. But now with Sean Payton, of course, as head coach, now a fresh start for Zach Wilson in Denver as well. Is it absurd or approved? Will Zach Wilson flourish in the Mile High City?
Sorry, Court, a.k.a. Zach Wilson, but no. I think it's absurd. And the reason why I think it is absurd is because they have 4 quarterbacks now on that roster. Bo Nix, Zach Wilson. Is Jared Stidham on there still?
Yes, he is.
So you have Jared Stidham. I think there's a 4th.
Ben DiNucci.
Oh, good old Ben DiNucci. XFL guy, by the way, too.
Yes, he was.
At one point. So, I think it's absurd. And the reason why is because you have a quarterback room of guys that aren't very good. And it's just the reality of the situation. Now, if I were to choose out of the four of them, I would definitely choose Zach Wilson at this point. You could, I'd very, very would consider Bo Nix. But the fact that Sean Payton, that piece of crap, is the head coach at the Denver Broncos, I'd assume that it would probably, I think, be Wilson. I mean, this is like a four-man competition now for that spot. I wouldn't be surprised if Nix gets up there, but I'm not a huge believer in Bo Nix, and the fact that Sean Payton thinks that he can do something and make it work. I feel bad for Bo Nix. I will say I do feel bad for him because if you're with that idiot Sean Payton, that might ruin your career. But I am kind of serious about it because I hate the guy. But at the same time, if I were Denver, I think it'd be Zach Wilson. I mean, I think you're gonna have to develop Bo Nix. I mean, I think them taking him at 12 is definitely a huge reach, but it's a position of need. And let's not forget, they're still paying Russell Wilson's salary and everything like that with that trade to the Steelers. So. Yeah, no, I don't think he's going to flourish, and I'd be kind of shocked if he was still on their roster after the season. But, yeah, they even got rid of Judy, so they don't really have many guys. I mean, Cortland Sutton's okay.
Cleaning house.
So
they're cleaning house.
So, no, I think it's absurd. Voldy, what do you got?
I wish I could probably give a much longer explanation, but there are powers beyond me at a physical level right now that first time ever here on the show. I'm just going to come out flat out saying I have to go to the bathroom so bad right now. I cannot make it through the rest of the show. Maybe we should talk about the fact that we had a giveaway as part of the NFL draft.
Yes.
That we need to get to and explain how we're all going to develop. So, pause on this. I got to go take care of some business.
Go ahead and take care of your business. I will go from there. All right. As you guys know that we did have our giveaway, and we had actually 9 winners. And congratulations to everybody that was able to vote, per se, and get that done. So we have our 9 winners. Some of you have won before, and the thing is we're going to give the drawstring bag to the person that hasn't won yet. So we're just kind of going through the names, making sure everything's... But it doesn't mean that you guys haven't won something, because we're giving you the opportunity to go ahead and get a sticker, or we can maybe work something out with some other stuff too. So just... be aware of that. We are working that out. We will contact you with our stickers and possibly hats as well. So we'll work that out. But we will give it to somebody who hasn't won yet. We'll just kind of pick at random because some of you haven't won yet either. So we still can work something out with you guys. So you will get a prize. That is the main thing out of all this. You guys will get a prize. Quick getting back to this ARA real quick, just adding some more depth to this is you have 4 quarterbacks that aren't necessarily going to get you much of anywhere. And I don't think they're going to be playing for much of anything next year because they just don't have the guys. And they still have Surtain. He's a good corner. I'm kind of surprised that he was still available at that time, or still available right now to be, because you could use him as a bargaining chip to get picks or get a guy that you desperately need, and they need a lot. Don't get me wrong. So I guess I would say with that whole situation, and barring me being a Sean Payton hater, and I always will be. But let's not forget that this team still has a lot of needs. And, taking my hatred for Sean Payton out of this, they need a lot of help, and they have guys on defense that are, they're solid. I still think they got Simmons back there, and I think he's a pretty good safety. And you got some guys that, can make plays. And, I think defensively they were okay last year. Offensively, obviously, with Wilson, it wasn't working. Sean Payton and him being at odds, so we got a lot with that going on. But, yeah, that's just kind of how things are looking. But, Voldy, you good?
Hello.
Hello.
We're good now. I think I should be able to make it through the rest of the show here.
There we go.
Apologize for my professionalism. And yes, I did wash my hands as well, so you're welcome.
Well,
Oh,
with that being said, I'm glad that that being said, Voldy, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson? You gonna flourish in Denver or nah?
I will say this. I'm glad it's taken us 5 seasons for this to actually happen on the show. Usually it's between segments or like
didn't happen on the Sports Zone
interviews. It did not happen on the Sports Zone. I was very methodical about that. We had close bathrooms nearby as well. That
is
helped.
true. Yeah.
But talking about with Zach Wilson in Denver too, this is a move I feel like is kind of like I mentioned with Jerry Jeudy as well. They're cleaning house right now. Sean Payton's trying to get his guys into Denver right now. Not saying Zach Wilson is Sean Payton's guy. They drafted Bo Nix as well. I feel like that's going to be a move where they kind of panicked a little bit because they didn't get JJ McCarthy. They tried to move up. They couldn't get what they wanted. So they thought, okay, who's a guy that we kind of like? Oh, Bo Nix? Excellent. Let's take him, without really thinking that one through. But just talk about this quarterback room. You got Zach Wilson. You got Bo Nix. You got Jarrett Stidham, who did start the last 2 games of the season for Denver over Russell Wilson. And now you've got, of course, Ben DiNucci in the mix, but he's probably an afterthought, if anything. This will be very interesting to see how this plays out. I feel like it's going to be Zach Wilson's job to lose. Maybe Jarrett Stidham, since he's been there longer than everybody else, that's his. But this is going to be a complete competition in training camp and obviously to start the season too. But I just don't feel comfortable with it. Obviously, he'll be back on the western half of the United States, which will be nice for him. I don't think Zach Wilson will flourish, though. He'll be one of those guys you look back on in 10 years, be like, yeah, but if he didn't get drafted here, he would have been a lot better. I hate to say it. I feel like the jury is out on Zach Wilson. I don't think it's going to be good for him. So I'm going to say it's completely absurd.
Mikey, who is tuning in, says Azona first. So there we go.
Look, I'm sorry. My body was not agreeing with. Hey, I will say this. It was not pretty for me. I'll put that out there. That's my punishment for that.
Yeah.
So I do apologize.
That's all.
I'm keeping it as family friendly as possible.
Hey,
I will not go into any details.
We're good. But I will say before we move on to our next one here, I did say, Mikey did have some thoughts on the draft here that he sent to me. So let me quick get to that real quick. So he says that he's glad that we didn't trade the farm when May went off the board. Good to get JJ for some supplementary picks to avoid Denver and other teams to come and snipe it. Yeah, exactly what we talked about. Dallasturner was a great pick. That was needed to go up and get for. The rest of the draft filled some needs that look to be promising / interesting flyers. So, hey, we talked about. And again, we got to keep it family friendly here, like we say. He says, and F. Sean Payton, LOL, his ass is gross
sir.
With bonus.
Let's go.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir, my friend, Mikey. You are preaching to the choir, my friend. I'm saying he's crying, laughing emojis as well. So, hey, we love it. But no, I 100% agree. I just don't think, we all know. Sorry, Court. Stop getting with your mom's friends and all that stuff. So, and I joke, Court's sad. So, next one, Voldy.
Well, of course, rumors still continue to swirl. Could Tom Brady be looking at making possibly another return to the NFL, maybe as a late season addition for being a quarterback and the New England Patriots? Hey, they have an option. They need some help in the quarterback position as well. But in a conversation this past week with new head coach for the New England Patriots, Jerod Mayo, he did say, you know what? I love Tom. The door is always open if he wants to come in here and coach. But as far as going on the field, I don't know. Definitely probably not at the point where he would be a viable option at the quarterback position. Of course, the Patriots did go ahead and draft Drake May of the Athletic May family, third overall in the draft this past year. And they also drafted Joe Milton III. That was a surprising 6th-round pick.
That's right.
Now they have 5 quarterbacks on roster, where it usually is just 2, and that's all you need. They got Drake May, they got Joe Milton, they have, of course, veteran Jacoby Brissett, Bailey Zappi, and CFL standout Nathan Rourke on the roster currently as well. Going into the season, all intents and purposes, Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback as well. He's been there before, knows how to run things. Obviously a different offense than when he was originally a Patriot, but still, it's his job to lose at this point at the same time. But you look at the possibility, of course, with Tom Brady. Of course, he will be going into the Ring of Honor and his number retired by the Patriots this upcoming season. Is it absurd to approve? Would we ever see Tom Brady take his talents into the coaching world?
Well, for one, he does have that, and I'm not saying he isn't, because I think he will, but he still has that contract with Fox. I think he's going to do the broadcasting thing for a little bit. And, you know, he could change his mind because, well, he's Tom Brady, right? Brady. But, yeah, I think he will at some point. And the reason why I say that is because I think he absolutely, positively just loves the game to death. And him, you know, being a coach, and, you know, he doesn't really like the way things are with some of these teams and how they're running things and how they're doing things, some of these quarterbacks. And he's talked about it at length and things like that. And I just think that if he goes into that coaching world, I mean, get ready for a guy that's obviously knows how to win. He knows the ins and outs. He's going to put a staff together, but he won't be shy. I mean, he will let you know how he feels, and he'll make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's. So I think at some point he will. Now, what time frame's that? No idea. Because with that Fox deal that he has, that's some pretty good money.
That's good money.
And you know, I think he's going to be quite busy next season with one of my favorite sports commentators, that being Kevin Burkhardt. I really enjoy
I like
Kevin Burkhardt.
You know, it's unfortunate that the Burkhardt-Greg Olson combo has to be broken up with this deal. I really like Burkhardt and Greg Olson together.
I mean, you know, it's tough. I wonder. I don't know. I think they already figured out who Olson's gonna be with next season. Not sure, but
I feel like they have.
Yeah, I feel like they figured it out. You know, so now that you have Burkhardt, now that you have Tom Brady, I think he's gonna focus on the broadcasting thing. But I think eventually he will be lured out to coach. So I give it my stamp of approval, and I assume the Zoners would think so as well. So Voldy, what do you think?
You know, I could definitely see it take place. Again, it comes down to that time frame. How long does he stay up in the booth? Probably for the duration of that contract, and then kind of, you know, maybe look at what is going to be happening beyond that as well. Kids aren't getting any younger as well. They get involved with sports. Hey, maybe he'll start coaching his kids too. Obviously, he's got a couple of boys.
Good point.
Got a daughter as well. I mean, that'll certainly be something to keep him enticed. But look at the amount of former teammates he's got as coaches right now. Obviously, Vrabel, Jerod Mayo, Wes Welker is a receivers coach. Kevin O'Connell's an ex-teammate. He's a head football coach too. There's a lot of those guys out there that are coaches. So, I mean, there's definitely something worth noting with that. But right now, I would say I mean, I give it my stamp of approval. I would love to see Tom Brady as a coach. Quarterback's coach to start off, obviously. You're not going to hand him the keys to the whole team right off the bat there. Obviously built that resume a little bit beyond the fact of him being a greatest football player of all time in my mind as well. But he's a guy that is very well voiced his opinion on the state of the game going on in quarterbacks and Obviously the big one with a lot of injuries to receivers and everything, and talking about how quarterbacks are not putting the ball in the best position for the receivers to make a play while also protecting them at the same time. That's something that can definitely be given to a lot of these younger quarterbacks if he held the clipboard and also the headset at the same time to say, this is how you do it. This is how you lead your team. This is how you keep your guys on the field for a whole season, as opposed to let's go make a big play and somebody gets hurt in the process. It's got my stamp of approval for sure.
It'll happen eventually. That's what we'll put it. All right, next one, Volde.
Well, of course, with the NFL season getting really a major jolt to the start with the NFL draft, but there was also some new looks looking ahead for the start of this upcoming season. And a few teams decided to update their looks as well, of course, with the teams including the Denver Broncos that have decided to kind of slow things down and kind of make things simple while returning to some classic jerseys as well. The 1977, the old Orange Crush defensive team is going to be well represented. The New York Jets decided to keep the Sack Exchange era Jets uniforms, their full-time look. The Detroit Lions also decided to keep things simple, but also give a modern twist to an old favorite with their Honolulu blue, getting a little bit more of a pop, but also bringing back the old black jerseys at the same time. Of course, the big one right off the bat that we saw is an update to the Houston Texans, getting a huge overhaul when it came to, of course, keeping the colors of the original franchise, of course, with the Texans, but also throwing in a little bit of their Houston flair with old Houston Oilers colors with that powdered blue in the mix as well, thrown in there. But you look at the teams that decide to update their looks for the upcoming season. Who do you think had the best overall look looking ahead to the best uniform updates for the upcoming season?
Oh, by far the Texans. By far. And the only thing I have, the only knock that I really have with that Texans one, and here, I'm going to bring this up here. I don't know if you can... Oh, no, that way. No, other way. There we go.
Other way. Yep, there you go. Keep going.
You know, the H on the helmet, I'm not too sure of, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
It's a little weird.
It's a little weird to me, but I like the red with the, the horn and everything. That makes sense.
Battle Reds are sick.
Battle Reds are sick. Like I'm tempted to get one of those. That's sick. I do like the the blue setting with that too. That looks pretty sweet. The whites are they're fine. I mean it's you can only do so much with those, but those look good. Yep. When you look at the Lions, the white and the Honolulu blue don't really there's a little bit of change, but it's not like, oh my gosh, crazy.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it again.
Do it.
The All Blacks need to come to Minnesota. Yes. Dude, come on. Those Lions ones, I'm not going to lie. I know they're our in-division rival and everything, but good Lord, look at that.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
That is sick. If you did the Vikings with that, the All Black, depending on the helmet, you go black, you put the white horn. Come on. Just once, please. It will look so sick. I would buy it. I would absolutely, positively buy it. But that looks sweet. I'm giving the Lions some credit there. The worst, by far, is the Broncos one. And no, it's not because of Sean Payton and everything like that. By far, it is those guys. The
Blue
Jets,
State, baby.
the Jets, I don't even know what's changed. I can't even tell. It's like, there's white there. There's nothing really different. The only thing that I do like from the Broncos one are the classics.
Throwbacks.
With the throwbacks
blue
are
helmet.
sick. Yep. Yes, the throwbacks are so much better than what they currently have. These are boring. They're just boring, man. They're not. Here,
Too simple.
Stupid mic's in the way. That's not stupid. But man, it's not. They're just not good. That's how I put it. So yeah, definitely the Texans want stamp of approval. Zonders, let us know what you think too. So Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, I love Houston's just a complete overall of what they hadn't really changed much in their uniform since they came into the league, and now getting a fresh update for sure. The Battle Reds are sick. They've kind of experimented with the Reds, trying to go with the red helmet for a number of years, but couldn't get the right combination. They hit it out of the park, especially with just going with the bullhorn on the helmet. The blacks are pretty sick as well. Just changing the number font and obviously the lettering at the same time. Look, I already got a Case Keenum Houston Texans jersey, but hey, they got an update. I got to get me one of those red ones or one of those black ones. So we're definitely put that down on the wish list for Christmas this year for sure. I mean, fun story talking about with Detroit as well. I mean, we gave Lions fans a little bit of crap in the NFC Championship and all that too. But these Lions jerseys, I mean, it's very reminiscent late 90s, maybe even 90s, early 2000s Lions as well, with the blue face mask and the silver helmet. Dan Campbell, when he first came into the Lions to be head coach, he spoke with the GM and said, hey, I want black jerseys. And he said, hey, when you go out and you win the division, we'll do black jerseys. Ask and you shall receive. The blue helmet to go along the black jerseys is a sick combination. I am a fan. They were wearing Dan Campbell black Lions jerseys at the draft, I think on day 2 or something like that. Wow. The whole the Lions draft room as well. That was fantastic to see as well. I'm all about it. Get me an Aiden Hutchinson black Lions jersey, and I will proudly wear that. If they do end up beating the Vikings or they get farther in the season, postseason as well than the Vikings, then, well, I may have to swallow my, a pill on that one. The Jets ones, they did bring back the throwback last year. I think it was the white ones. They opened up the season in that. And now they're just making it their full-time look. It's very reminiscent, obviously, the sack exchange era, the late 70s into the 80s as well. So nothing really new to write home about. Beyond the Denver, throwbacks, I mean, it looks like Blue Mountain State, their regular uniform. So, I mean, kind of lazy on their part. But I think Houston's for sure head and shoulders above everybody else coming into this season.
Yep, and this article definitely got it right, and I agree with pretty much all the rankings there. So, yeah. All right, from one uniforms to good uniforms to crappy uniforms, Voldy.
Yep, a couple weeks ago we talked about the ongoing state of Major League Baseball and their uniform fiasco with Fanatics, and now they say they're going to be changing things. But hold on, it's not coming tomorrow. It's not coming next week. It's not coming next month. No, they're going to wait all the way until 2025 to make any significant changes to the uniforms. Major League Baseball does plan to address its ongoing uniform fiasco after changes this spring to standard jerseys and pants with widespread claims from players and fans as well, but they will not be making any significant changes. The changes, which will happen at the latest by the beginning of 2025, will also include fixes to pants, widely panned, of course, them from being see-through. In spring training, pants literally exploding. Some teams don't have their full uniforms as of yet, too. Still struggling to even find those. The small letters, the bad numbering and everything as well. Some players have just come out and even started wearing uniforms from last year just to even look somewhat presentable at the same time. But is it absurd or approved with, of course, Major League Baseball announcing the uniform changes? Should changes be made sooner than the start of spring training 2025?
Absolutely. And I won't go too much at length of this, but the state of the MLB right now is such a it's a cluster, and that I won't say the other part of it, but it is really bad. And the fact that they couldn't get those jerseys right, and they're ripping at the seams, the whole the whole deal, it's just proof of dysfunction. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And, with the whole thing that's going on with the Twins and, not them being able to broadcast on Comcast Xfinity, which most people have here in the cities, which I think people are pretty pissed, and a lot of them are. But that is a whole different conversation. But the MLB has really been dropping the ball, and the fact that they say, "Oh, we'll just wait till spring training next season." You guys can figure it out during the summer, and you guys can try and make this work. And the fact that it seems like they're unwilling, they don't give a crap, and you know what? Why should we, right? So I think it's absurd. They should. It's my stamp of approval that it should be made sooner than next spring training, but it's absurd because the MLB and screw Rob Manfred as well for not getting this done sooner and getting it right for one too. Right. So, Voldy, what do you think?
You're telling me Major League Baseball can't just come out and say, "All right, let's put a stop to this. Let's fix it now."
We suck.
I'm sure we got a couple of boxes of everybody's uniforms stowed away in the stadium somewhere, or guys that you had your uniforms from last year or you're keeping in the back of your locker right now. Wear that for the time being. We'll get you settled up, a couple of days from now. We'll get you next week before your next road trip. We'll get you settled up. You'll be good to go. You're telling me Major League Baseball can't do that. Yes, I know there are contracts. There's all that stipulations. Obviously you throw in production into all that too. They could turn around a whole uniform, the whole league in a day. Yeah. I mean, with the amount of people they got working on stuff like this, just change it now. Start rolling out some of the new stuff or some of the old stuff, if you will, and slowly but surely, within a couple of weeks, maybe a month at the latest, be back to the way it was and just admit Fanatics effed up.
Yep.
Michael Rubin, the CEO of Fanatics, has come out and say, "Yeah, I mean, we're taking one on the chin. We're getting the crap kicked out of us on this. Then fix it. Ask Nike, what did you guys do? Why was your stuff better than ours? Oh, okay, let's do that. And you're gonna have to eat a little bit, monetarily speaking, but you'll make up for it on the back end of everything." I don't understand why they need to wait throughout this whole season just to fix it from the off season until spring training. You tell me you can't do it starting. I'll even give them a grace period starting now until Monday. I mean, you can't get a plan together, put it all together, and then have it all ready by starting Monday and start getting those uniforms pumped out and sent to teams wherever they're going, this way, that way, left, right, and center. I think it's completely absurd. They definitely should be making moves. I mean, now, if not yesterday to begin with, and start getting them all back in order. It's completely absurd.
Classic MLB. That's all we got to say. All right, last one, Voldy.
Of course, now with the end of the season for the Los Angeles Lakers falling to the Denver Nuggets in the postseason, that means LeBron James is going to be a free agent yet again. Of course, with that being looking at the choice to either return to the Los Angeles Lakers or maybe take his talents elsewhere once again. LeBron James has a lot of things to keep in order as we are now officially on LeBron Watch 2024 as he is going in, of course, after winning a championship in 2020 with the Los Angeles Lakers, could quite possibly looking at his possible a different team yet again in his career. But now in the latter stages of his career, LeBron is looking at either possibly maybe even looking at playing with his son, Bronny, depending on how the NBA draft lottery works out. But he still has college eligibility even after declaring for the draft. But you look at how it could be another foray into free agency for LeBron. Where should LeBron be going to next? Or should he just stay with the Lakers and ride it out another year?
Oh, here we go again. And, it didn't take long either because now the headlines are after they lost to the Nuggets and, what's his future? They ask him the question. He says he doesn't know. And then, now he's got to, the speculation is going to be there for a long, long time until they hit the free agency. And to be quite frank, what is it? What are his options? And this says the Sixers, which I'd say that kind of makes sense. Play with Embiid and Harris and those guys over there. I mean, Maxey has been fantastic these playoffs. He's really kind of come into his own. So if I were to say, I mean, it sounds like 76ers would be an option, but I don't know. Would he really want to go all the way to Philly and do that? I mean, I think that kind of gives him a chance to win a championship there. I think the second team that I think I think maybe even staying with the Lakers, and maybe they. And I know people aren't a fan of this either, drafting his son and having them play on the same team. Some people are like, oh, that'd be cool, but some people are like, no, let's just forget about it and move on. The Lakers got to move on from this whole thing because it's been a disaster ever since they won the title back in the bubble. So
yep.
it kind of gets to a point where it's like, what, Bron, what more do you have to prove? And again, it's like, oh, see, he couldn't get to Jordan's, 6 rings and everything like that. It's like, well, there's some other guys that have more rings than Jordan and everything like that. And, people are going to keep comparing.
Big shot Bob, Robert Horry. He's
Yep.
got 7.
Yeah, he does. So
7. Come on.
Yeah. And I'm not going to get into that because we've really kind of, it could really get into that. But, I would say the Sixers are a possible destination. But who would be a dark horse? I feel like the Wolves. And I joke, I kid. We got Ant. I mean, he's the second coming of MJ, so we're good. We're good over here.
Oh, yeah.
But, let's go with the Sixers. I'll go with the Sixers just because, you know what? Screw it. Let's try it. Do it. So, Voldy, what do you got?
I mean, when we talk about looking at a team that probably just needs that added piece. Yes, LeBron is going into the twilight of his career. Late 30s. Guys are most likely slowing down, if not already thinking about hanging them up if they haven't done so already. You know what team could really use a guy even of LeBron's caliber to push them over that limit and maybe make one good, serious run at a title? The New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks and New York themselves are a team and a franchise and a city that is desperate for a championship. They want the Knicks to be good so bad. I'm sure they would do anything to get LeBron on their team. Back in 2010, they were going to give, pun intended, king's ransom for LeBron James before he decided to take his talents to South Beach and the Miami Heat as well after winning a couple of titles down there. But this go around as well, they've got a really good young core, of course, with you throw in guys like you got obviously Brunson, and you got they have Julius Randle, don't they? Or they
do. Yep.
Yeah, they've got a really good young core in the Knicks, but they're in a battle right now. If they haven't finished off, the Sixers, but that's been a really good.
They have the lead 3-2.
Yeah, I mean that is a tough competitive series out of the East right there. And that is just something either one of those teams certainly could use LeBron in any capacity. But I feel that the Knicks would be a good landing spot. Obviously going from L.A. to New York, LeBron is no stranger to New York, from one place to the other. Big market, he can handle it. He's got all the hookups, he's got all the contacts, and playing half the season in Madison Square Garden would definitely not be a nice little added piece to finish off your career. And who knows, even with the young kids, could definitely maybe go out there and win a title, or at least instill that confidence and some of the tricks of the trade to get them pushed towards a title sometime in the near future. I think the New York Knicks would be a good spot for LeBron in the future if he decides to go that way and become an unrestricted free agent this offseason.
Who knows at this point?
Who knows?
Guess who's in the comments? Our good friend Austin Hanley. Yep. Good friend Austin Hanley. Guess what he says? And this is surprising. Ant for MVP. Are we getting a Wolves fan out of it?
Still Chiefs fans, so I mean.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
That's good.
I'm sure he's happy with his draft. You see that comment? Yes, I'm not blind. I mean, if I didn't, trade away Cat. He says, not right now. I think he's doing just fine right now. I'm good with him. Cat did what he needed to do in these playoffs against the Suns. I'm cool with it. So, that will do it for ARA this week. Great job as always, Voldy. And let's get to some Shield shoutouts. You got some good Shield shoutouts. I saved it because the first one that you have, because obviously, it was the news today and it's well-deserving and
absolutely.
Whatnot. So, and then obviously our second one as well is fantastic. So, without further ado, let's get it going. What's up? Shoutouts.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, it is time for Shield shoutouts. So, Shield, who are you shouting out tonight?
Of course, a player that we did talk about at length with the Timberwolves, but also did receive some recognition for his hard work this season and quite possibly being one of the main factors that helped turn around the Timberwolves. Mike Conley was named as the NBA's Teammate of the Year. No surprise there. Point guard knows how to facilitate and also make his teammates that much better. No surprise, of course, congrats to Mike Conley on being named the Teammate of the Year. But also in other news as well, the North American Hockey League did announce their end-of-season awards in the NA3HL, the level that the Granite City Lumberjacks did play are in as well. They were announced, of course, their franchise did receive the 2023 NATV Team Production of the Year, bringing you all broadcast of home games throughout the season. Could not have done it as well, me being a part of the team production, at least at front of the camera, everything behind the camera. That's handled by the wonderful people at Bitstream Digital Media, including Brian and Donna Lommel, Jonathan down on the ice as well, helping us there with some of those live action shots. Of course, my play-by-play colleague as well, Joe Clements, and even Eric Altina serving as a little bit of an in-game host, public address announcer, as part of a great team, and could not have been more happy to work with those guys officially in a full season as well. But obviously a great season that we had to deserve that recognition and look forward to another great season ahead as well. That's going to do it for Shield shoutouts here this week.
You gotta love it. Gotta love it. And congratulations to the Granite City Lumberjacks, all the people there. I mean, well deserved. I mean, I was there. I mean, we were there. We had our live show. I saw what the production was like, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Pretty good. Mike Conley, oh my gosh, he has been a spark plug that the Wolves have needed for a long time. Dare I say, a little bit better than Ricky? A little bit, maybe.
A little bit
at this point. I like messing with Munson. So Austin says you lost me with Conley. What's wrong with Mike Conley?
Come on,
he's great. He's a great dude, man. Honestly, he is somebody they desperately needed, and he has brought these guys together. And he doesn't get enough credit. He has been fantastic. Clutch shooting, clutch assist. I mean, the guy is doing it all. So, shout out to Mike Conley. But that is going to do it for episode 191 of MinneZona Sports Live. And you know the deal, folks. We have merch. We've got a lot of merch. We've got the shirts. We got the stickers. We got the hats.
Yes, sir.
You know the deal. Hats, $20, $5 shipping. Shirts, same deal, $20, $5 shipping. Stickers, $2 for small ones, $3 for the big ones. And we still have the quarter zips if you guys need. I know it's getting a little warmer out there, but hey, you never know what could pop up for you. And Voldy's got the hat on right there. I didn't even notice you did the hat switch. That's perfect. So, you know, we got these. Yeah, that's very sneaky. And then we have the American flag hats that are available as well. We can get that. We can get that going for you as well. So we got all the merch. We got the tumblers as well. If you need to keep your drinks cold, hot, whatever you need. Austin says, Step Brothers quote, I'm a bit of a spark plug, ... Oh, he knows Step Brothers, so that's good. I know the deal there. So make sure to check out W2 Performance. Will Rattel at www.w2performance.com. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Tyler Knutson, Crown Rental for the stickers. Check out the victorious P.O.D, Tyler Hermann, Jack Vickers. They gave me kind of their draft thoughts as well. We'll get that to you at some other time. TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire Jr. Make sure you check out his stuff on the socials medias. And the Popcorn Bucket List, Nick Dahlhoff, and our guy, Rhino. I mean, they're both our guys at this point, but I love that. Make sure you check them out. Omni Entertainment. They've got new episodes coming out. So check out movies and stuff like that. And they can hook you up there. So with that being said, that's going to do it for 191. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, even without a special segment, Tater Tot Hot Take was fantastic. So claps to the zoners. Claps to you, Voldy. That was a fun segment. Segments, I should say. It was very, very fun. Austin says you guys are full of it. Oh, says you, Mr. Absurd Statement Winner. Huh? Yeah, that's what I thought. No, it's all love. We like messing around here on this show. So thank you for tuning in. And as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.